My homophobic dad disowned me because I'm gay, but now he's marrying a man. I want to expose him and ruin the wedding. Am I the a-hole? My father threw me out of the house at 15 for coming out as gay.
Disgusting.
I am now 21 and happily married to the boyfriend I wanted to introduce him to when I was 15. On my wedding day, my father had an invitation to his wedding hand-delivered to me by one of those hired delivery people. I don't know what they're called. His wedding date is the anniversary of when I started dating my husband. Both dates he knew because of my uncle.
What is going on over here?
I threw the invitation away and didn't even think about it until my aunt, his sister, reached out and told me he wanted to talk and apologize for everything and that he wanted me to be at his wedding.
Okay.
I told her that I'd consider it and talk to my husband about it. He's the one who convinced me to go and said we should just see what he says. We drove down a day early and my father basically avoided us all day. I know weddings are a busy time, but every time one of us tried to speak to him, he had to go somewhere and then he said he'd talk to me after the wedding. The problem with this was that their reception wasn't supposed to end until 2 and they had a flight for 3:30 to their honeymoon, so I knew he wouldn't be able to talk to me, and then me and my husband were going to leave the reception as soon as was appropriate to go around our hometown to places we haunted in high school when we first started dating.
By haunted, do we mean a little...
Moaned and groaned.
Oh, goodness gracious. Sound like a dying wolf.
I was going for a sexy ghost.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Because my father's wedding was held in the morning, we thought we could celebrate our anniversary in the afternoon and evening. I informed him of this, and he said that he would just call me when he could. That's when I realized none of his fiance's family or his fiance had any idea that he had thrown me out and that he had told them I moved away from college. I gathered this through talking to his fiance and his family. I'd never met the fiance nor his family until the day before the wedding, and only briefly. I didn't really sit down and talk to any of them until the morning of the ceremony. So when my dad's fiance asked me about college, I was like, I've never been to college. That's when I realized what my father never told him, that he kicked out his own son for being gay.
This guy has the audacity to bring him back and
Yeah, you should really just say what happened in the past.
It's gonna come out. Also, how is the fiance or no one else like, oh, hey, here's your son we're meeting for the first time ever?
Yeah. I told him the truth at breakfast before we even had left for the venue. I objected the marriage right then before the ceremony even started. I objected because I realized that this man was in love with my father, but my father had lied to him, and I felt that he deserved to know before they got married. I apologized and then explained the situation and then promptly left. A lot of my family members said I was an asshole and that I could have waited until they got married, but I don't think the fiance deserved to marry someone who lied about something so big, especially something that was homophobic, and they're a homosexual couple. I'm just surprised that the father never said anything.
Nothing.
And hey, coming out is really, really difficult, especially in some areas of the country. And there can be a lot of self-hatred for people who just don't feel comfortable in their own identities. And so yes, it sucks and it's not excusable. And it's it's really, really bad. But that can be part of your coming of age and coming to terms with who you are and coming out story. And you can say hey, I was terrible before, but I've come around.
Yeah. I mean, which hopefully is the case. It's
that's all we can hope
I would
for.
have to imagine that. But it also is still weird that he literally didn't talk to the son till it made him look good, which is the son coming to the wedding.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just so confusing.
A little bit more to the story.
Okay.
I only heard about the big fallout through my aunt because I left with my husband, but apparently my father and ex-fiance got into a massive argument and the wedding was called off. I don't speak to either parties now, though I did message the fiance on Facebook to apologize later that day because I felt bad about ruining his wedding, but he said he was glad that I told him the truth. So the question to all of you beautiful people is OP the a-hole by telling the truth about his homophobic father who's getting married to a man at the wedding?
Wow.
John, I want to tippy tap right now on your keyboards and tell us who you think the a-hole is. But John, what do you think?
Help me out here, guys. Okay, I do not think that OP is the a-hole because I do think that this is a truth that both, it's a truth that the fiance deserves to know because it's pretty like integral to like his life.
Yeah.
He is a gay man. So to like, that is an important part of your partner's past and like to know, to be aware of. And also like the father literally kicked out his own son at 15 years old and like thinks he's going to skate out and like get away
and
with
no
it.
repercussions
And
for those
not
actions.
have to face the music. Like that's like, no. So, and hey, the fiance thanked Opie, like, thank you for telling me the truth.
At least he didn't have to get the marriage annulled.
Like, and that's so crazy to the family. Like, oh, just like wait till after the wedding. It's like, bro, then they're married and they have to go through the divorce, which is not easy. So it's like, what are we doing?
I completely agree. I think OP is not the a-hole.
Like OP didn't have a choice. He was literally like invited to the wedding and it happened. Guys, tell the people before the goddamn wedding. Like, this is what we need to do.
Yeah. The dad could have saved the wedding if he had said what happened.
Be honest.
Be honest.
Because it's gonna come back.
That's all we're saying. Yo, just be honest.
Just be honest.
Be yourself.
Own your
unless you're
mistakes.
homophobic, and then be honest.
Yeah.
Also, I would love to know if anyone has ever objected to a wedding.
Oh, please.
Is there any? I object,
bro.
stories.
We need some straight Shrek objections in our comments. Please
Shrek
drop them in, guys.
My best friend thinks it's our anniversary, but we're not even dating. Now he's going on a sexist rant. Should I get him canceled? Am I the a-hole? I've known him for 5 years, different classes and courses, but same friend group. Over time, he has genuinely become one of the best people I know, and it's only getting better every day. I can't lie. He's not my type. Nerdy, charming, sweet, funny, flirty with the right amount of awkward. It sounds like you're describing your type.
That's what I'm saying.
He's kind of perfect, but I've never even thought about putting the moves on him. He's never shown romantic interest in me. We're friends. Nothing more. Or that's what I thought. Today, he was spending the afternoon at my dorm. We're laying on my bed when he says verbatim, "So baby, where do you want to go this Friday?"
No.
Matter of fact, this is the first time I've been called baby by him, so that kind of shocked me. Instead of asking why, I froze and was just like, what's happening Friday? He turns to me and kisses me. Again, first time thing with us. Hugs my waist and goes, "Our 1 year anniversary, idiot. I'm making reservations."
You're the idiot.
I love hands like, you know what? We're just dating right now. It's in my head. I'm just going to make it a reality. At this point, I'm frozen. I genuinely don't know what to say. I'm gobsmacked. The dude I thought was my best friend who never even showed interest in the dating thing is under the idea that we've been dating for an entire year. I'm silent while he continues hugging me and scrolling on his phone, racking my brain thinking about what to tell him when his phone starts ringing. It's his mom, which he puts on speaker, and she dead goes, "Hi, honey. Are you still with your girlfriend?"
Oh my God.
So now his mom thinks we're dating too. He tells her, "Sorry, I'll be back in a bit, sweetheart." I just nodded and I was just like, "All right. See you in a bit." No questions, no screaming, just acceptance, which I guess is the best way this could have gone for this guy. Is like, I just pulled out the biggest heist in history. He gets up to put on his sneakers and leans down to kiss me again, which I just accept at this point. It's a nice kiss besides the fact that my mind is somewhere else, and he leaves. Apparently, the majority of people I talk to think we're dating, or if I'm being correct here, know we're dating and just have never mentioned it to me.
This makes no sense.
I don't know what to do now. I mean, he's a great guy, don't get me wrong. And if the last 5 years are anything to go by, he is a great boyfriend, maybe even in the future a husband. But I've never looked at him that way, so I can't say I love him. When this occurred, it was like the glass shattered and I saw how differently he looked at me, how he talked and acted. Stuff that never changed at the beginning, but for some reason, I've never noticed. I can't sit here and pretend I love him like that. I wasn't thinking about him in that sense all this time. But on the other side, I don't want to hurt him. He clearly thinks we've been together for that long, so he has to have strong feelings for me, and I don't want to step on them and scar him like that. But a year? How do you not kiss for a year and think you're dating?
This show was sponsored by your sweet, sexy ass.
If you support our Patreon, you'll get one long, hard, extra bonus episode every week.
I'm talking 3 juicy stories right into those ear holes.
You'll get ad-free episodes. I'm talking all of those ads completely off. All natural.
Not to mention, we'll do it together, live, in front of a camera. With Assholes Anonymous, you'll get a chance to talk to us directly and maybe be featured on the YouTube channel.
Wait, Saban, not like that. Like the fans get to share their stories with us and other fans, and we get to talk about it, right?
And then we'll moon each other at the end.
Oh, God.
So if you want all that axe ass, support your boys at patreon.com/OKOP show.
That's patreon.com/OKOP show.
I just don't know what to do. I'm scared and angry. Disappointed in myself for not recognizing the situation earlier. Feel like I'm stuck between the sword and the wall. Last thing I want to do is hurt him, but I also don't want to lie to him. How should I go in about this with him? I've already sent him a message to meet after practice. He said yes, so I'll have to talk to him soon. And there is an update. But John, what should OP do?
Like totally shut it down, because all of the things happened the first time this day. Have to shut it down. I think what he might be doing is lying to himself and convincing himself. That I will accept.
Let's see what happens. I decided that we should meet up in a public space. Before his practice, I sent him a text and asked if he wanted to meet up at a coffee shop we both know. He called and said, yes, and you sound serious. Should I be worried? To which I said, honestly, yes, you should. Ooh! He told me to stop joking and went on to his practice. Dang. Fast forward a couple hours, I'm sitting there and he comes in. Are you really okay? You didn't seem good a while ago, and from what you said, I'm actually worried now. So I laid out on him. I asked him why he thinks we're dating and why does everyone else too, and what led him to thinking that. Now he's just quiet, and I'm just looking at him, not saying anything. Stuff after this is a bit fuzzy because I just wanted to cry. This came very out of the blue for me as well. It's just effing weird looking back at it. He said something like, I didn't really think we could actually date if I asked you up front. So he knew. To which I said, that's how relationships usually work. You ask. To which led him on a tangent about women in general. What I saw in front of me was no longer my best friend of 5 years. It was a boy who grew up to be a man and to have a very damaging idea of women. I just interrupted him and asked what led him to think about women this way. He was quiet for a while, and that did give me some pity until he opened that mouth of his again and said, you know, there's these podcasts.
No.
That let me know everything I needed to. Oh, so you're a little Tate fanboy now. He starts arguing and yelling. To be honest, I'm not really listening to him at this point. I just want to get out of there and cry. I'm listening, but nothing is registering. Some of the milder things he started yelling are about women and our relationship with food and how we should have a limited amount, how we're so vulnerable and emotional, ready to blame men for everything, and how we start yelling at every minute inconvenience, which is funny in hindsight. How menstrual stuff was a hoax and that I was no doubt lying when I couldn't walk from my period pains because I wanted his attention, and that no girl can possibly feel a greater pain than that of a man. He also said that when we were talking about his course, something to do with car parts, it was not cute and sweet of me, let alone women in general, to act dumb and pretend I'm clueless, because that does not make me more appealing. I generally don't know how a car works. My effing bad. I tell him that if this is all a big joke, it's not funny. He interrupts me and talks about how he listens to these men but doesn't tell anyone because he knows I and our friends wouldn't agree. Tells me I'm not a perfect woman, whatever that means, but he would still like to date me, but couldn't tell me because I'd say no and ruin his fantasy. Bro, you know the best way to get a girl to date you is to go on a sexist tirade.
Wow, it works every time, you know?
All right, I'm kidding, by the way, because that's a terrible way to approach it. I'm crying now and people are noticing, so I just want to get out of there immediately. I tell him, not verbatim, but along the lines of, you're so effing stupid. You genuinely could have dated me if only you had asked. You could have had everything, but you started listening to opinions of guys who have nothing. How sad can you be to pull a stunt like this instead of asking like a normal person? He starts yelling that I'm wrong and they know what is right, starting a whole rant that I don't have the strength to listen to him. I stand up, start walking, and he grabs my arm. More people are staring. I tell him to let go, and he only does when I threaten to call the police. I left telling him to never speak to me again. I am now home. I blocked him on everything and told some friends what happened. They were all shocked by how he acted and what he said. One guy did tell me he was always easy to influence, though. I asked why they thought we were dating, and they told me it was how we acted like a couple. I guess that one is on me. Combined with the fact that he told them yes when they asked, and since the behavior checked out, they just never thought to talk about it with me. So that is that. I thought I had a nice friend by my side, but guess not. Never trust a guy, even if you grew up with him. They'll disappoint you eventually. Hope you don't get too jaded, but this dude does sound like a bag.
Wow.
I don't know how this dude is still thinking the Tate method is working when it literally is not working in front of his eyes.
Even if you wanted to be a little cutesy with it and be something like, hey, like I want to celebrate our anniversary. We met a year ago, and yeah, I've been working up the nerve. Like, I would love to take you out to dinner, or like, I don't know. They're like, you.
That's so cute. I love that. I love that.
You could be cute about it, but he just went about it the completely wrong, opposite way.
I can't believe it didn't come out earlier.
Yeah.
I just rage quit my job of 5 years. Now the company's failing and begging me to come back. I said no and twisted the knife. Am I cool? A bit of backstory. I have worked at this very small, less than 50 people company for about 5 years. I was brought on as an assistant, and within 3 years, I worked my way up to one of the heads of the departments.
Big head honcho over here.
My job is a niche within a niche, so I was able to train myself in a very industry-specific knowledge.
Niche industry
Niche
returns.
industry. When anyone explains their job on Reddit, they're super vague and they just say niche industry. My company has its problems. Many of the higher ups are toxic, resort to bullying, and overall can be. But I put up with it because I was learning very valuable skills and I truly am passionate about what I do in the industry.
Niche industry.
When the pandemic struck, my work refused to let people work from home. One person walked out and I was so scared I started to have a panic attack. I live with someone who is high risk, so I was terrified I was going to give it to them. I had to threaten to quit before they let me work from home. They finally relented. And guess what? My productivity skyrocketed. I increased our winning rate by 23% since the beginning of 2020 alone. It has been better for my mental health to be away from the bullies, and I can focus easier. It also improved my health. I lost 30 pounds without even trying. My carpal tunnel practically disappeared. So it sounds like literally everything is better because they work from home. Last week, I was offered a job for a similar role in a bigger competing company. They were offering me a $23,000 a year increase in salary and a fully remote position. And I was on the fence because despite more money, it was hard to let go of a place that I spent so much time and so much professional development on. I also was worried about several of my coworkers, the ones who aren't bullied. I mean, but that 23K, yo.
Come on,
you can
guys.
still be friends with these people outside work. On Monday morning, I go to one of my higher ups with my dilemma. She was so supportive, immediately congratulating me and said, I'm going to talk to the CEO tomorrow. I'll tell him your situation so he has the opportunity to counteroffer you, which is great. That's super smart. Good. I told her it wasn't really the money. It was also the remote work policy. So today I get a call, the higher up, and this is how our conversation went. Her. The CEO is willing to raise your salary, but first he wants to negotiate you coming back into the office. Me. What? Doesn't he realize this other position is fully remote? Her. Yes, but he says the company has been generous with working with you on being remote, and now you will need a doctor's note to remain such. Generous? There was a global pandemic. It wasn't some sort of favor to me. It was what the company had to do because of the vid. I'm glad they finally did it, but I had to beg because I was so scared I was going to unalive my partner. Her. Yes, but some people remained in office this whole time. Me. That's not my freaking problem. They were not taking it seriously, and there were no rules implemented by the company regarding masks, social distancing, etc. Them staying in the office made me realize I had to remain staying at home because I knew they weren't being safe. Her. That's why he says it's generous he has let you stay home for so long. Me. I've also proven I am more effective in a remote position. It has been a net positive for the company as a whole. Her. I understand. Me. I don't care if you give me a salary increase. This is about RESPECT respect, baby. I was on the fence about this new position, but now I see that I have to take it. Consider this my official notice. I quit. I just signed the contract with a new company. Thanks for making it easy on me, old company. And there is an update, John. There is an update. But I wanna get your feel. Do you think OP should quit? What do you think is like the minimum necessary for OP to quit in this case?
Man, I mean, for OP, definitely beat the 23K because it's like, I feel like OP has gone through a lot of like headaches. So that's another thing OP has to weigh of like, do I want to kind of continue to deal with like potential headaches from these people in the future? Because they've given me so many in the past.
I got another phone call the next day from my previous employer asking if I had decided on what I'm doing. I reiterated that I told you the first time I quit. And they pulled out a full guilt trip on how I can't leave them high and dry. I hung up again, but decided ultimately to finish out the 2 weeks since I could use a paycheck. The 2 weeks were wild. They kept acting like I wasn't leaving. They kept assigning me new projects that I couldn't possibly finish. And every time I brought up my departure, they'd talk over me or ignore me. Whatever. I kept telling myself it wasn't my problem. So I decided just to half-ass everything until my time was up and I would get my last paycheck. On my last day, I went to turn in my computer and everyone in the office kept asking me to do more work. I kept telling them, it's my last day. I am leaving. My computer is being turned in. I can't possibly work further. One of the execs got teary and kept wailing about, but who is going to do all this? I shrugged and said, you guys had 2 weeks to figure that out. And this was generous of me. Flipping it on them. The CEO ran out of the back door as soon as he heard me come in through the front door so he wouldn't have to say goodbye. He continued texting me to do work throughout the day, so I ended up blocking his number. And about the new job. I started the new job and it's been a dream. The pay and benefits are so much better. There isn't a bullying problem here, and it's almost like the blinders were pulled off of me. I didn't realize how abusive my old workplace was until I was working with a team of actually nice people. For months, I'd react like a battered housewife. Every time I'd make a mistake, I'd be on the brink of tears and overly apologetic. But everyone here has been nothing but kind and supportive and understanding. Of course, there's always room for improvement, but it's like night and day better. Meanwhile, every few weeks, I'd get a phone call from my old company. Here are some of the highlights of what they have asked / what has happened. None of this paperwork is getting done and no one knows how to do it. If I don't tell them, they will lose money. Guess what? Not my problem.
Come on.
Will I come back if they hire me an assistant? No. Will I come back if they hire me an assistant and match my pay? No. And you are supposed to give a counter offer before someone leaves for a new job, not months afterwards. Now, my old position has been split into 2 positions and has 2 different job postings because they can't find anyone who can do all of it. Lol, not my problem. We hired someone for one of the positions, but they quit on the spot and walked out after 4 days. Lol. Good for them. They sent me a contract to be an on-call consultant for them. Like they didn't even ask. They just sent it to my email with the email body saying, please sign and return as soon as possible. I already have a job. Wow. Now, my old position has been split into 3 different positions with 3 job postings. My absence has made one of my former coworkers so stressed that she's now in the hospital, and they said I should be ashamed of myself to not come back and help her. It's not me overworking her to death. It's this company. Now, my old position is split into 4 positions. That's right, effing 4 different positions with 4 different job postings. Will I come back if they literally offer me double the money with an assistant? I was so glad they asked. I got to tell them straight up, there are some things money can't buy, and I didn't quit over money, so you can't get me back with money. We are losing tons of money and may have to do layoffs soon if you don't come back. Sorry, but F you. Moral of the story, never accept the counter and don't put up with BS.
Wow. Oh, such a satisfying ending, man.
I know. OP really stuck it to them. It sounds like OP was literally the whole company. Like they took OP out and then everything fell to
over something as dumb as like them wanting people in person. And you know that it's just a stupid thing that they want because they're dummies.
But yeah, I would love to hear about your stories of just terrible workplace situations or job hopping. If you have any, put them in the comments below. We love hearing them. In fact, we love hearing all your comments.
Oh yeah, Sam, I think I'm going to read some from our beautiful public subscribers. These are from the video, My Disabled Wife Inherited $100,000. I refuse to let her spend it. First comment from public subscriber Marion Bathy. What a jerk. He doesn't deserve her. Gotta say, I agree. Next from public subscriber Demonic Triangle. All I got is the husband is jealous and would rather be homeless than live in a house owned by his wife. Hilarious take. And finally, public subscriber Rastafar 1100. New car, new house outright, but she should wear used clothes? He's bugging. I think you're right, Rastafari 1100. And I think all of you are right when you publicly subscribe and leave your wonderful, beautiful thoughts. So please do that below, and we just might read your comment on the next video.
Talk soon.